Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 426th episode of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Sonic Mojo is Foghat's highly anticipated and long-awaited 17th studio album, their first in 7 years on the band's label, Foghat Records, which is distributed by Selecto Hits, part of the Sun Records family. On Sonic Mojo, founding member, drummer, and leader of the pack, Mr. Roger Earl, is joined by stalwart guitarist, engineer, and co-producer Mr. Bryan Bassett, who is formerly of Wild Cherry and Molly Hatchet, the fun-loving bassist Rodney O'Quinn, a longtime member of the Pat Travers Band, and of course on lead vocals and guitar, Mr. Scott Holt, who toured and recorded with the legendary Buddy Guy for 10 years. The new album absolutely cements Foghat's title as the undisputed kings of boogie rock, as it showcases the band's trademark crunchy riffs, soaring slide guitar leads, infectious melodies, bluesy influences, and their take no prisoners approach to their loud, heavy blues rock that fans everywhere can't get enough of. 3 songs on Sonic Mojo have special meaning for Roger Earl, as they were co-written by Mr. Kim Simmons, who has been on this show many times, the man who gave Roger his first break in 1967 as a member of Savoy Brown. Sadly, Kim passed away after writing these songs on December in 2022. Foghat continues to release new music every few years and are in constant motion on the road, maintaining a rigorous touring schedule that has been a staple of the band since its formation. Please welcome legendary drummer and songwriter for classic rock legends Foghat, Mr. Roger Earl, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Roger.
Ray, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm here in Florida.
Okay. Oh, actually, we're playing in Florida, I think. Hold on, look.
Yep, there's the Foghat wine. Oh, yeah.
We drank. My niece is over from, and her husband is over from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And we finished off 3 or 4 bottles of red wine last I'm usually good with maybe a couple of glasses of wine, and that's it, with dinner. But last night we were having a particularly good time. I feel fine as well. So
that's a good sign. Yeah,
that is a good sign. I'm grateful for that as well.
Well, on your website, you can actually get an autographed bottle of the 2013 Pinot and the Chardonnay of 2014. That's pretty cool.
They both taste great. Somebody told me once that red wine's good for you. Shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah. It's right. You can't go wrong with red wine.
No.
Especially the Pinot. That's
Pinot.
That's the best. That's my favorite, I think.
Same here.
Yeah. I had Sean Chambers, Pat DeSalvo, and Garnet Grimm on the show recently. And of course, they were the last members of Kim Simmons' band. That was the final lineup. Great guys. Yeah. And, of course, they did an album together and they're teaming up, which is great news. Keep the legacy alive, I guess.
Yeah. what are you going to do? Retire just because you've lost, one of your bandmates? You can't. Your job is to carry on playing. And, just we did our last show last night of the year. We played the Hard Rock in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. The people were great. People who came there, the people who took care of us. And I was having a drink backstage with Scott Holt.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Isn't this great, this job that we have? What other job can you have, like when you finish working, people stand up and cheer and clap for you?"
Exactly. And want your autograph.
Yeah. No, we love our work, and I'm looking forward to having a couple of weeks off. I'm going to go back to England, see my oldest daughter, my granddaughter, my brother, family, my sister, and nieces and nephews and best friends that I haven't seen in years. That would be nice. And then I come back to the States at the beginning of January, and we start rehearsing down in we have a studio down in DeLand, Florida, and believe our first date is down in Florida. It's on one of the islands down there.
Actually, it's about 20 minutes from me, Anna Maria.
Yeah.
Yep, January 20th. Yeah.
You gonna be there?
I hope so. Yeah. I'd like to cover the show and bring my photographer so we can.
Whatever you need, just give
Okay.
Rose a call or Linda, and like we'll take good care of. Hold on, it's the guilt thing. We're really old now. You ought to come and see us now. We might not be around much longer.
Don't say that.
but no, then you have to come and see us. You see.
Yeah. I think my photographer. Mark is he's been with the band a couple of times and take a lot of pictures, especially in St. Pete when you guys were in St. Pete.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was a good gig actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys are. I think you did a live album from there, didn't you?
We did a live album from St. Pete. That was it was really good. We'd finished like touring or something, and then we got a call that somebody had cancelled and will we come and play, and we said yes, please. And we recorded it, and it turned out great, so we put it out. Actually, we've over the last 20 years here, we've done 4 studio albums and we released 4 live albums. So I love what I do, and we're real fortunate because Bryan Bassett is an incredible engineer, not only a great and brilliant guitar player, slide guitar, an engineer and producer. I put him to work.
Why not? Yeah. Well, your Anna Maria concert is the 20th. You got Indigo, California on the 26th. Then you got a couple of more dates at River Cree Resort and Casino, and then Admiral Theater on February 2nd. And then there's a lot more dates after that. So nothing has changed over the last, 50 years or so with you guys.
But we don't work, we play. Work is travel. Mm-hmm. Sitting in cars, sitting in trains, sitting in planes, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
But that hour and 15, hour and a half we get to play, that's you can't beat that. It's like it's the best, It's I'm one of those fortunate few. I get to earn a living doing something I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna roll till I'm old and rock till I drop. Oh, I don't feel very well.
Roger, you look great, by the way, man. You don't look old at all.
Nice too.
You look awesome. I saw the original Foghat probably 8 times. You guys used to play with everybody back in the day. That's right.
And anytime, anywhere. We the only days we had off was we were traveling somewhere. Actually, we just 1973. We did some recordings down in the warehouse in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And Warner Brothers found these tapes. It was already mixed down to 2-track, so there wasn't much we could do to change it.
Right.
But that should be coming out sometime next year, I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of what's the term? Youthful enthusiasm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which means they're probably a little bit quicker than they should be. But the warehouse in New Orleans was a fabulous place to play. Mm-hmm. We played there like 2 nights in 1973, and Warner Brothers wanted to put it out. The real cool thing about it is it's got some songs on it that we've never recorded. And what is the title? I think the title is "Do We Have Permission to Jam?" Mm-hmm. Which is Lonesome Dave used to say from time to time. So yeah,
that's a good title. Yeah, I like that. There you go. Sonic Mojo. All right, here's what I got to say about Sonic Mojo. Ready?
Yeah, what's that? Yeah.
Sonic Mojo is an intriguing, eclectic mix of country rock and blues with elements of traditional Foghat slide guitar. The biggest surprise on the album was the impressive vocals, which never sounded better. Foghat is pleasantly morphed into a musical range of diversity and creativity. Sonic Mojo will delight listeners of many genres. I think it's an excellent album. It did surprise me, because you sometimes you get labeled as blues, just like prog guys or prog. There's a lot of country in this, and you guys could have probably made the country Billboard charts as well.
Yeah, it's Rodney J. Crowell.
Right.
We did his songs, called a Song for Life. We also did a Rodney J. Crowell song on In the Mood for Something Rude, an earlier album. And what happened was I was driving down to Nashville with Linda, my wife, and this song came on the radio, and the line was, "I don't drink as much as I ought to," and I went, "Wow, that's great!" And then I didn't hear anything else, and I searched for a couple of years trying to, what song has this title, and then eventually Google came up with it. It was a Rodney J. Crowell song, and I listened to his version, and it was like a country song, like 3/4 time, like a slow waltz country thing, which was really nice, but it's not really Foghat.
No.
Myself and Scott sat down for a couple of nights. We were working on it because I love the lyrics. The lyrics, it's a really positive song about how life just got better and better in the end, and I don't drink as much as I ought to. But that was the one that sort of hooked me with it. And I called Rodney up because our manager was friends with his previous manager, and he called me back, and I said, "Wow, Rodney J. Crowell, what a really cool guy. And probably one of the greatest songwriters that this country's ever had."
Yeah.
Really, really great, really cool guy. Anyway, he called me back, and I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe he can be a guest at one of your shows, or I don't know, the next live album or something.
Maybe Foghat can do Rodney J. Crowell's songbook.
Yeah,
fun.
Why not?
We have to write a few tunes. We've got to get it out,
Yeah.
But that's an idea. I'm always thinking about stuff. Before he started writing 2 songs, and I know Scott has got his fingers in at least 3 or 4 different pies. So I shouldn't really say this because our manager has nearly killed herself promoting this record, and works 20 hours a day. So no, we're not doing another song, another album, lovely. Don't worry about that. Not until January. Hey, have you heard the Stones' new album?
Not yet. No, I haven't heard it yet. You like it?
Really good. Really, yeah, great. It's great. Check it out.
Okay, I'll pick it up.
And of course, hold on. We've also got another one here.
Did Keith Richards ask you to say that on the show?
Keith would never be so crass as to ask me to say things like that. There's another album as well. Where is it? Albums. I love getting albums now.
I've had some of your blues competition on the show. Yeah. I've had Joe Bonamassa on, and
he's no competition. He's great.
And Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
In a class of his own.
Both of them have albums out as well on the blues chart.
Yeah.
I just checked the blues chart. You guys are still in the top 5, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah. But you came out at number 1 when it was released.
We've never been number 1 of anything. No, we haven't. There was a first. Even at this later stage in our career, we can have a first. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Talking about great albums.
Oh, here we go. Paul Rogers.
Paul Rogers.
Yeah.
It is.
There you go.
I don't say that on the radio, Roger. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
One of my favorite singers. Really, really cool guy.
I'll check it out. I've tried to get Paul on the show for a long time. No luck for some reason.
Well, he's a very, he has this great voice, and he's kind of quiet. I think he's probably just, any time he's got off, he probably wants to spend it with his family.
Right.
Hold on a second.
Is that your audience?
That was my girlfriend, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's leaving. She's going with my wife and my manager as well. So
okay, going Christmas shopping, maybe.
They are the Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
3 in 1. I know how fortunate I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remind me a little bit, just how youthful you are, is Mick Box of Uriah Heep. I interviewed Mick at the House of Blues in Orlando and spent
Yeah.
some time with him. Great guy, really, happy-go-lucky type guy.
Well, I mean, when you're earning a living at something you love doing, it's never work.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, I know how fortunate I am, and I play in a great band. These guys are like fantastic players.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan Bassett's been with us 27 years now.
Amazing.
And played obviously with Lonesome Dave, and he played with Rob Price as well. So he's got cred as far as being in the band. One of the best people I know. And Rodney O'Quinn, a great bass player. He was handpicked by our previous bass player, Craig McGregor. Craig went because Craig had lung cancer and could only play occasionally. So we had 3 or 4 bass players. And he called me up one day that he'd been to see Rodney and had breakfast with Rodney. And he said, Rog, you want to get this guy, Rodney O'Quinn? He's like a mini me. And I said, okay. And yeah, Rodney's a great bass, great voice as well. So yeah, we're rocking.
Great band. It is a great band. I don't say that very much when all the original players aren't there, but this is different. Foghat's always been different because you got great players, this album says it all. I mean, you guys are venturing into different avenues,
I mean, it's sad when you lose, your friends and musicians you've worked and played with, but your job, as far as I'm concerned, is to carry on.
Sure.
There's always been a mourning period, especially when, Lonesome Dave passed. I didn't want to do anything. We didn't do anything for about 4, 5, or 6 months. But eventually, you have to do something. I'm not ready to retire, not to lay down.
Right.
And as the song goes in Road Fever, I'm going to roll till I'm old. I drop.
It's a great line. Great line.
Yeah, Dave would have. In fact, Dave did adhere to that.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. But one of the great things about Dave was, even when he was ill, he would be on stage, give it 110%. And that's what I love about Scott Holt. Scott is the same ilk as Lonesome Dave was. He loves to sing. He loves to play. He sleeps with his guitar, and he's got a beautiful wife too, but he sleeps with his guitar. He walks around, where's Scott? You see him walking around the halls of the hotel, and he's got his guitar around his back. It's like, he believes him. So actually, I play just about every day as well, like on my pads, practice pad stuff. Occasionally I'll go a day or 2 without it, and I'll go, something's missing. The thing is, with playing drums, and especially in this band, you want to give it all you got, because tomorrow might be too late.
Right.
It's important for all of us, like, to play as well as you can. Some halls we play, like, you hear everything and it's just a great sounding room and the audience is like on fire. And other days it can sometimes be work, because we play different rooms all the time, and some rooms sound better than others on stage, but I am so fortunate. I love what I do.
And you're a great live band. You can't say that about a lot of bands, We've done more than our fair share of live albums. That's what happens. We will play different venues, and they have the opportunity, to do some recording. So we press the buttons, then we take it home, give it to Bryan, and say, "What do you think, Bryan?" He goes, "Oh, this is really good. Everybody was playing good that night, so put records out." It's what we do. Yeah. I'm going to talk about some of the tracks on the album I loved. I Don't Appreciate You. That's a catchy tune, man. With a little country flair. Really like that one. Yeah.
But that's actually, I started that one off. It was written about Scott Holt describes it on stage as being the most polite FU song ever written.
I like that.
And it started off with an ex-manager who is a thieving piece of shit.
Of course.
But used to be my friend. Not anymore. But it's about that. And then Scott sort of changed it. It could be about anybody that you're not too fond of,
Right.
But yeah, we had fun with that one. Yeah.
You did the cover "Mean Woman Blues," of course. Elvis and Roy Orbison sang that one. You did a great version of that, by the way.
It was a song that I always liked, and same with Scott. I heard the Jerry Lee Lewis version, and Scott,
okay.
He was about 12 or 13 years old, actually saw Elvis, which is something I never did. And I was a huge Elvis fan. All the early stuff on Sun Records. Wow, what a band! Now that Bill Black, DJ Fontana, I mean, incredible band. But yeah, Elvis. Well,
you got the sideburns.
Yeah. You know, actually, this is one of my favorite all-time performers.
Essential Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. Yeah.
Man in Black. In fact, my last birthday, Scott has a record store in Columbia, Tennessee. And he collects vinyl and stuff, and my deck was laying in the corner in bits and pieces. So he bought me one for my birthday. What a cool guy. And now I get to listen to Johnny Cash.
Cash.
When I was growing up in southwest London, southeast London, sorry, Hounslow, I was the only kid when I was 12 years old riding my bike to school singing Johnny Cash songs. Nobody else in my school knew who Johnny Cash was. And my older brother bought all the records. Colin was 4 years older than me, so Sun Records, like Johnny Cash. Well, she loves you, Big River, more than what's great about Johnny Cash for me, anyway, back then,
right?
There was always this fantastic rhythm going through it, but more importantly, there was always a story, and I was fascinated with the stories that Johnny Cash told. I mean, I had no idea what he was singing about. She loves you, Big River, more than me. What does that mean? Now I've got somewhat of a handle on it, but I never got to see Johnny Cash. That's one regret, but his music lives on. I mean, yeah, he was a great American singer.
Oh yeah,
songwriter, and he was a poet. I mean, he's great. I love Johnny Cash. All right, you love Johnny Cash. You know another cool thing about 4 or 5 years ago, we did a cruise, and Roger Daltrey was singing cruise. He had a great band. Roger's got a great voice anyway. He came back on and did an encore of Johnny Cash songs. So he's another one who's a Johnny Cash fan. Which is something I didn't know. I thought that was really cool, coming on and like Roger Daltrey sings Johnny Cash. It was like there was some magic in the air that day.
I remember My Name is Sue. How do you do? That was a good song, though. I liked it. That was funny.
I'll walk the line.
I'll walk the line. Yeah. He was a great singer. Well, you went back to basics, because anytime there's a Willie Dixon song, you can imagine Foghat. Let Me Love You, Baby. That was a classic Foghat sound. I read that you went and met Willie Dixon's youngest daughter, and she gave you a tour, private tour of Chess Records.
Yeah.
And you actually met the man way back when as well, and had dinner with him, right?
Yeah, 1977.
Yeah.
Foghat was playing the amphitheater in Chicago. We did 3 nights there.
Right.
First night, his daughter came down. The second night, she brought her brother Butch down. And on the third night, the man himself, Willie Dixon, came down. And so, like, we get a chance to, without Willie Dixon, there would be no rock and roll. He wrote so many fantastic songs.
Sure did. Yeah.
In fact, when I was talking with Jackie, his youngest daughter, she said that he's published over 300 songs and probably got around 600 laying around the house.
Wow.
And we did, and then Willie invited us over to his house in the South Side, for dinner. And we couldn't go because we were leaving the next morning. But about 6 months later, we went over to his house, and it was a terrific evening. And we had dinner there, and we were there up to about 3 or 4 in the morning. And every few minutes, he'd send one of the kids upstairs to the attic and bring down like 78. And there was all this.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Dave and myself and Rob Price were handling this stuff like it was black. And Jackie, his youngest daughter, was only like 7 or 8 or something. So she changed considerably. She's this beautiful, bright woman. And we were down at the Blues Heaven, I think that is the name of the book. It's the old Chess Records building.
Yep.
And Jackie comes in, and I didn't recognize her because last time I saw her, she was, I don't know, it was 30, 20 years ago or something. And there's this beautiful woman, like, she's smiling at me. I'm going, I don't think I know her. And then she told me about how she was 7 years old and she was helping serve dinner with us. So yeah, it was a great evening. And as I said before, without Willie Dixon, there will be no rock and roll.
I agree.
He's a great man. We have a couple of pictures of him with the band at our studio down in Florida in DeLand. So
oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
incredible. Speaking of Chess Records, guess who I had on my show?
Who?
William Bell.
Oh, really?
The guy who wrote "Born Under a Bad Sign," talking about the blues. He wrote it. Booker T. Jones was the composer. Albert Bell was the guy who first made it a hit. But I thought that was pretty cool because we did get to talk about Chess Records and beautiful days and all that.
What's really wonderful about music and the fact that what I really get excited about, even to this day, about playing, it's like being part of this like big musical family. See, I grew up in Southwest London, and I'm this kid, and I'm hearing this music on Sun Records, and there was always music in our house. My dad played piano, and there was always music in the house. And to be part of this, America is the country that gave music to the world, as far as I'm concerned. You had the blues, then you got jazz, bebop, rock and roll, country music, various kinds of flavors, gospel music. It's all there in this wonderful land we call America. And we're all like, anybody who's in music and part of music, it's a very like I don't know how I can quite find the words to describe it, but it just feels so good to be part of that, because music is the one thing like I think that can give people joy and like bring you up. If you're down, there's a song somewhere that will make you feel better, or maybe encourage you to keep crying if you're losing somebody. But it's music is a great healer, I think.
Oh, I agree, 100%. But the Brits are the ones that brought the blues back from hiding. Because the blues were kind of dead for a while, and then the English musicians like Kim and John Mayall and all those guys, they brought it back. In
1960, there were a number of blues musicians came over with the American Blues and Folk Festival, Muddy Waters, Dixon, and a number of other artists. And I went to see them when I was about 11 or 12, I think.
Right.
Of course, and I saw Sonny Boy Williamson being backed by the Yardbirds, and and I played with a whole bunch of my sort of heroes. I played with Muddy Waters in 1977, John Lee Hooker, Paul Butterfield, and I used to jam together when I lived up in Woodstock. Johnny Winter, we did a whole tour with Johnny Winter. Now there was a piece of work. I loved Johnny. He would make me laugh, and he could play. He was just. We did a number of dates with his Alive and Well tour, and it was kind of hard to tell, but I'm still alive and well. Johnny was beautiful, and his brother is also like fabulous. Actually, we did some on one of our albums. His brother actually played keyboards and did some vocals. I think it was on the I can't remember which one. One of the albums we did. Oh, Night Shift. He actually stayed on Night Shift, played piano on some stuff. Edgar is one of these brilliant musicians who can play everything, plays everything great. So yeah, Edgar is special. Did you hear his album he did? He was doing a whole bunch of his brother's songs.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, it's great, great record, great record.
I interviewed Edgar the day before Johnny passed.
That must have been rough.
Yeah. And, that interview was, all he talked about was Johnny. It's funny. Yeah.
Well, Johnny was a lot larger than life.
I agree. I agree.
It was fun. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't tell this on the radio.
It's okay.
Is it okay?
Anything you want.
We're doing this tour with him like back in 73, 74, somewhere around there. It's the Still Alive and Well tour. And Johnny only likes to travel by bus, but this time he's on a plane. And I guess he was tired or something. He's on the plane. And all of a sudden he stands up, plane's up in there, and says, "What are these motherfuckers doing on my bus?" And he was there was another time somebody's hotel room had caught on fire, and Johnny wanted to get hold of the fire extinguisher, but said, no, that's not a good idea. That was Jimmy Otita, our stage manager, was there, and he think he saved Johnny. But Johnny Winter was larger than life, beautiful man too. He could play, and I think he almost single-handedly resurrected Muddy Waters' career.
Did. And absolutely right. Yep.
Muddy was very fond of him. And Johnny was special. Beautiful man.
I did talk to Johnny. We talked about Robert Johnson and how nonsense that was about Crossroads, and the family was so upset, talking about the devil and all this. And then for some reason I said, "Johnny, did you ever make a deal? Have you ever made a deal?" And he flipped out. He says, "No, I'm a good Christian man." So the hell with those rumors.
Well, it makes good stories.
Yeah, I know.
Good tales in songs.
Yeah.
And hey, so it's all about stories and songs and tales. Some of them be true, some of them not. I mean, you could probably make up your own mind whether you believe it or not.
You know what my favorite song is on the album? Black Days and Blue Nights. And it's got great slide on there. You know what it reminded me of a little bit? Joe Walsh and Barnstorm.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't had that, and I'm a big Joe Walsh fan. And Linda is a huge Joe Walsh fan. We played with him a couple of times. Wish I could do more, but he is a great songwriter, incredible guitar player. But thank you. That song was actually inspired by Rob Price. Linda, our manager, also managed Rob when he left Foghat. And I started writing the lyrics. It was Black Days and Blue Nights, and it was about Rod, because he was a troubled soul. For about the first 4 or 5 years we were together, he was fine. Right. But then I think being on the road really got to him. It sort of wore him down. Whereas myself and Lonesome Dave, and that's our lifeblood, playing on the road. Everything's about that hour and a half at night. The rest of it is just, whatever. But Rod struggled with that side of it, touring. That was hard for him. And the song was inspired by him. And and then I gave the lyrics to Scott, and he added some stuff, and I think he did a great job on it. And he actually came up with the music and the transitions and stuff. I just started playing. I said, I think it goes something like this, and Scott said, "I've got this."
Oh, it's a great song, man. Especially and the title. I've
Yeah,
never heard a title like that before. It's great.
yeah,
Love it. You guys finish with "She's Dynamite," BB King, and then
yeah,
"Promised Land," a Chuck Berry tune.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Chub Berry tune was fun,
yeah.
because I'd heard Dave Edmunds' version, which I
Hmm.
loved. That, I mean, it was really cool. And Scott, when he went to see Elvis Presley, Elvis did that song.
Oh.
So we were just messing around with it in the studio, just jamming. All of a sudden, then Brian put all this really cool, like electric country kind of slide stuff, and all of a sudden we said we should do this. Well, we already had, actually, we'd already taped it, and then
Hmm.
I think that's kind of the magic of like having your own studio.
Oh yeah.
It's a house. It's like a double wide in the middle of nowhere on 10 acres down in Florida.
Hmm.
And we just make noise,
Sure.
good noises, we hope. But
Great
it's
noises.
that, that's what keeps the juices flowing. And it'll probably be another 3 or 4 or 5 years before we finish another record, because
Hmm.
uh, we actually probably had about 7 or 8 songs that didn't make it on the album, just because uh, all these songs, everybody in the band, all 4 of us said this one has to go on, and we were all like, uh, actually, we act like a band, actually, like a real band. We all seem to sort of see things in the same light and go, this is good. It was like, I would put a drum track down, and I said, I think I can do that again. And Scott would say, no, that's the one. And then Scott would say, listen, and I'm singing this, and it's like, and it works. So yeah, we have a good time. Sometimes we have never heard of such a thing.
I want to mention Linda did the artwork and the layout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be a commercial artist. That was my
Really?
first job. When I left school. Yeah, I was, well, when I first left school to work in Soho at an art department, but I was basically just a glorified tea and coffee boy. But I could paint and draw, and then I went back to night school because I needed, like, to brush up on my math. But
Hmm.
it was a good living. But buying drums and cymbals, they're expensive, so
Oh
I had to
yeah.
have a day job. But my real passion was playing. I
Yep.
remember when I joined Savoy Brown, and I was working with a really great company, and I would do all the finished artwork and stuff that would go to the printers and stuff. So I'm joining Savoy Brown now. We're playing about 4 days a week.
Hmm.
So I would, I don't know what it is, and uh, I would sort of come in like looking like something the cat had dragged in, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, that I'm late today." I said the bus and the trains are all messed up, and they say, "So where'd you play last night, Rog?" Newcastle. they were they I was they understood. It was
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. I'm going to bring in Kim a little bit in the conversation. This is kind of a little excerpt from our last interview, I guess. Kim was telling me he had a fantastic 45 collection,
Yeah.
and he asked me um, what do you think the first 45 he ever bought was, and he said it was around 1961 or 62. Do you know
I know what he bought. No,
the
no,
first one? Yeah.
no. What was it?
I took a guess. I said, "How about the Twist or Let's Twist Again by Chubby Checker?" You know, and he said it was very close. It was Twist and Shout by the Isley Brothers.
Ah,
That was his very first 45 that he bought. He was such a nice guy too.
yeah, he was.
I loved having him on the show.
Yeah, he was a beautiful man, actually. After we left Savoy Brown, 1970, 71, we got busy, and as did Kim. And about 1976, we reconnected again. Savoy Brown played at out here at the university. And after they finished playing, I invited him over to my house, which was 2 or 3 miles down the road. I think after that, he stopped drinking. That I woke up the next day and he would passed out somewhere.
Really?
Yeah. And but we had a really good time, and we stayed friends. We stayed in contact. And also about 10 years ago, Kim Savoy Brown actually came to the same agency that we were in, Paradise Artists out in Ojai, California. So we got to play a lot more together, and I would sit in with his band and he would get in and play guitar with us. And yeah, we got real close, and he played on our previous studio album, Under the Influence. Kim played on like 4 songs on that.
Right.
And that was when it started. And after we finished that, we were just hanging out and talking. And he said, I'd really like to write some songs for Foghat. And I said, well, that will be fine, Kim, except you have to play on them. And he smiled, his wry smile, and said, okay. Unfortunately, Kim passed last year. It was this week that he passed. But he wrote 4 songs for us. We did 3 of them. We kept one of them back for next time. But,
great.
Kim was an absolutely brilliant guitar player. And also, every year he would put out a new album and write all the songs. I mean, really, really great, rock and roll blues songs. He was prolific. Doesn't do him justice. In fact, I remember on one of his albums, Witchy Feeling, listened to it in the car because I have a CD player in my car. It's old.
Do you really?
Well, yeah, CDs are great. I like CDs.
So do I. I do too.
I mean, now that new cars, they don't have CD players. You have to plug in little.
I know.
Anyway, that's hey, I'm a Luddite. What can I say? It's the world moves on, Roger. But I like CDs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
People get little chips, and it's got all this music in it. What about pictures and stories?
Right.
Look.
Liner notes. Yeah.
Liner notes. Yeah. They did this. They did that. But yeah, it was cool actually reconnecting with Kim. Especially after all those years. And you know what? Kim and I never ever had cross words with each other. Right from the very beginning. We always got on with. There was, I know Kim liked me as a drummer and as a bandmate. Let me put it that way, and vice versa. Kim was, he was great. He always played to his like best. Occasionally I think he would feel like he hadn't done his best, but certainly in the last 10 or 12 years that I remember seeing, anytime I played with him, he was on fire. He was just so good.
What was amazing about Kim also, he wrote all these original blues tunes. It's not like he had all these covers, and he wrote these songs,
I mean, every year, every album, there's like 12 new songs on it.
Yeah.
There was one when he did Guitar Slingers, and I played it, and I said, we ought to do this song, but maybe that's in the future.
I remember talking to him about Voodoo Moon, I think it was the album. That was a really good album.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Did you actually audition for the Jimi Hendrix Experience?
Yeah, I did. I didn't get the job, but
obviously, or else.
I got to play with Jimmy though, and he came up to me. We were out. It was on lunchtime in London. We were. The rehearsals were at a jazz club just off Piccadilly Circus, and we were all in line outside waiting for the club to open. It's like 12 o'clock. I borrowed my dad's car and I put my drums in it. And Jimmy came up to me and started talking to me about some songs he'd written the night before. And I probably played for about half an hour or so with him. There was 4 or 5 other drummers before me. And it was he was something else. Talk about greatness. he started playing and just had, his stack of Marshalls and just like, I set my drums up and then he just started playing. I'm like, I didn't know where like 2 and 4 were. I couldn't find it. And he just were playing. Then I think he did like a slow blues. And then I went, got this. Yeah, he was a guitar magician.
Yeah.
He played like nobody else could. I mean, at the time, Chas Chandler called me up and asked me if I wanted to come for an audition because I played in a band that Chas had put together when I was about 17 or 18. We didn't go and play anywhere. We just sort of rehearsed. But it was, yeah. I actually got up and jammed with him at a club out in LA one time. There was just a bunch of people just jamming. I think I got up and played a shuffle. And there was a club in New York where he played. And I got up and again sat in for a song. I think Buddy Miles was the drummer, main drummer tonight. So I got to play on Buddy Miles' kit. Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Have you written a book yet? An autobiography?
We're working on that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we're working on that, and we're filming and recording everybody that's still with us, and we're collecting.
Okay, good.
All the stuff of the archives. I did start writing, and I talked to a number of different writers. Eventually, yeah, we'll get a book out.
Okay.
I just don't want to talk about all my ex-girlfriends though. Actually, they've all forgiven me.
Yeah.
I'm still good friends with a couple of them, and my first 2 wives have forgiven me as well. I think it's because I married so well the third time. In fact, I know it is. They all respect and like Linda.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm starting to shine now in my old age.
Well, if you need additional writers, I'm also an author,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll have to get that.
Rockstar Chronicles. That's
Chronicles.
Johnny Winter's in here. Everest Lake and Palmer. Yes, everybody's in there.
Then I'll get that. I'll get that.
I'll send you the link.
And you wrote it?
Yeah. I've written a couple of books. Yeah. As a matter of fact,
I can see it. Ray Shasho writes Roger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe Lala. Do you remember Joe Lala at all?
Yes, yeah.
He asked me to write his book, but then he passed away after that. He lived in Tampa, so we were close by. And he also asked me to be his personal assistant. But I'm in Bradenton and he's in Tampa, so it was a little bit of
a next to each other.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't do it. I should have, I guess. He's such a nice guy.
It woulda, shoulda, coulda. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why we keep ourselves busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
I said this before. You remind me so much, your voice, of Michael Caine. And you were born, it was at Hampton Court?
Yeah, at the Bassett Memorial Hospital. It was after the war, 1946, May 1946.
You're both from London.
My mum telling me how wonderful these nurses were, because after the war, my other brothers were like born during the war.
Right.
So they didn't have anything. But after the war, things got a little bit better. And my mum said how fantastic these nurses were. But yeah, I grew up in southwest London. And then when I was 15, I moved up into central London. That's where the clubs were, and upset my mum. I mean, musicians do that. Of course, you upset.
Of course.
And your dad saying, "Don't upset your mother again." Actually, I had great parents. They were really, really good people. I don't think I had thanked them enough during their time. I mean, my father would like fix our cars. I don't ever remember paying him. And no, I'm serious. I mean, I felt bad. I remember talking to my brother Colin about this about a year ago. I said, I don't remember like giving Dad any money. I mean, he'd fix the front. I had a Lamborghini 350 GT, which I paid £1,200 for.
Wow.
right, exact £1,200 for a Lamborghini,
Jeez.
but it needed some work. And the front, not the suspension, the driving, it was worm and roller. And Dad had to fix something in the front, but I don't remember thanking him for it. And also the exhaust system fell off, and Dad put a new one on there. He actually fashioned it, and I don't remember thanking him. And I sometimes think about that, but Dad and I always shared music together. He played piano, and he came over in 1977. It was his 60th birthday, and I got them a hotel in Park Lane, and they came to Foghat's Tribute to the Blues, because Foghat was the house band for Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker. The list goes on, and we're backstage, and I introduced Mum and Dad to Muddy, and I say, Mum and Dad, this is Mr. Muddy Waters, Mr. Muddy Waters, my mum and dad. And even to this day, I still get chills about it, because they knew how much he meant. And I had the record that really changed me, was Muddy Waters Live at Newport, 1960. I think I got it in like 62, but that record was not only a fantastic live recording, the way the band played. And I used to sit down and try to learn. Francis Clay was the drummer on that, and I would have 2 little 6-inch speakers in my dad's. Well, it was my drum shed, but it used to be his carpentry shop, and it was all egg boxes and stuff. It was quiet in there, but I listened to that record, and I'd try and play to it, but never quite got it. But the record itself, that to me was probably one of the greatest live recordings ever. That and Jerry Lee Lewis live at the Star Club in Hamburg. Jerry Lee played Far Too Fast. I don't know what he's on that night, but it was like real magic. Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis and Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
Broad spectrum.
Exactly. I had his sister on the show, Linda Lewis. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right after he passed away, I think it was. Yeah.
I saw Jerry
Linda
Lee.
Gale. Yeah.
Linda Gale Lewis, right?
Yeah.
I saw Jerry Lee. He played. This was like a few years back. I think he was 80, 81. He played at the House of Blues in Manhattan, which they've closed down now. I mean, it was one of the few really cool venues, but he was fantastic, and he had a great sense of humor, because he's noted sometimes, Jerry Lee, for playing a couple of songs and then he'd leave. But no, I mean, it's part of his history, I think. And so he's playing piano. He sang about 2 or 3 songs, and he gets up from the piano. He says, "Okay, thank you." And everybody went, and it was like, just kidding. And he played brilliantly. He played for well over an hour, and then he left. And so I went to the side door once everybody started leaving, and I went up to the band. I said, I'd like to say hello to the piano player. Figured that would be sort of a decent. And they started laughing. They said, "Well, the piano player's on his jet on his way back to Memphis." Oh, all right.
That was quick.
Yeah. Jerry Lee Lewis. I saw him when I was 12 years old. He was
wow,
incredible. My dad took me to see him. Dad played piano as well, so he knew a good piano player when he had one.
And you started playing piano before the drums, right?
Yeah, Jerry Lee could play drums as well. Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know about Buddy Miles. He was a really good guitar player as well.
Apart from being a great singer.
Yeah.
They hate people that's so talented. They can do everything.
They can do everything.
People like that, they pick up an instrument and start in 10 minutes. They're playing it great.
Yeah.
Us immortals have to struggle with one. Roger,
who was your favorite drummer?
There's 2 or 3. Freddie Belo, who did a whole bunch of stuff on Chess Records, I learned to play with him. Earl Palmer played on all the early Little Richard records out of New Orleans, and then he went on to become a famous session drummer. Those two probably, and of course, guy who played on live at Newport with Muddy. That was what did I said his name earlier? I can't remember it now. Edit that.
We'll take that out.
Yeah, probably those two or three drummers were the ones that influenced me the most, because that's how I learned to play. I took drum lessons. My drum teacher was a really good jazz player, and I learned to play with the Buddy Rich snare drum rudiments written by Henry Adler. But and so I think I got, I took drum lessons for about 3 years. Typical teenager. I figured I knew everything after that. I remember bringing a record to my drum teacher. It's called "Baby Don't Do It," and I said I couldn't figure out the drum parts on it, and I was about 15, I think, when it came out, and I said, and I brought the record to him, and he put it on, and then he played it on his kit, what the drummer was playing, and of course, being cocky, I said, "It doesn't sound right, Chris," and he said, "That's because there's 3 drummers on there." Congas and percussion, and I couldn't hear what was going on, and that made me smile, because then that was one of the hardest things when I first started playing drums. I would listen. I was always into music. I wanted to play in a band. Playing, sitting down, banging on drums, and making noise is fun, and practicing is like what you have to do to get good. But I wanted to be in a band. That's the one. Like listen to the bass, play with the bass. Listen to the song, listen to the guitar players. And I think right from the very beginning, I always played with really good musicians. The first band I was in, there was 3 guys I went to school with, but they all started playing when they were like 9 or 10. I didn't really get any good until I was like 15 or 16. So, but it was great. It was great.
Roger, you're a great drummer, man.
I can count to 4.
Yeah. I think my favorite drummers, Roger Earl, number 1. Probably Buddy Rich.
All right, you get a case of wine. Okay.
Krupa is another one, and Billy Cobble. I've had Billy on the show many times.
I got to see him a couple of times.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's amazing.
Yeah. Just again, it's like, I can play, but like Billy Cobham is like one of those genius. Like the way he plays, the stuff he can play. I'm just a mere mortal when it comes to people like Francis Clay. That was the other drummer.
Okay, that's right. I remember that.
I've only had 1 cup of coffee so far. He was my other favorite drummer. Francis Clay, Freddie Belo, and Earl Palmer. Yeah, those 3 were like. There's of course there's lots of great drummers out there, but that's what I grew up listening to and trying to figure out what was going on. Why those 3 drummers in particular? There was always like a swing or a shuffle in there. It was never like a lot of the early English drummers would play everything so it's like da 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 really straight da 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 da, and like they weren't like that. That early Little Richard stuff, it had swing to it.
Right.
So it was. I think that was one of the reasons why Charlie Watts he was one of my favorite drummers. Or Charlie played great for the Stones, but and he had this thing like when he was playing, he would lift his cymbal up after 3 beats, and then the snare drum. And I think that might have been because of his jazz influences, which is 3 notes.
Yeah.
So he would play 3, and then the snare drum. But that's just my theory. I never got to meet Charlie, but by all accounts, I've read his book, a book about him, and Keith was always sort of raving about how Charlie was the magic and glue that held everything together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was.
But Charlie had kind of a jazz band too, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. He also had a couple of drummers. Had another drummer in his band.
Right.
What's up? No, I'm talking. Well, I mean, I want to talk to Ray. But tell the other person to is it a phone call or what? All right. Well, I'll call him when I'm good and ready.
We can start wrapping it up if you like.
Yeah, Rose is telling me I've got to cut this short because I'm
okay. That's fine.
Here's I'd rather talk to you, Ray.
Here's a real quick question for you, and I've asked you this before, but I get some really cool answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform with, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I don't know actually, because no, the thing
Pick
is,
one.
I'm such a fan.
Right.
You know what? Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I saw how rock and roll, and I saw what Keith had to do to get it to work. But quick story.
Okay.
1974, we're playing at a big festival in San Diego, Southern California. Jay Gar's band is on, a few other people, and Chuck Berry's on. And Dave and I were Chuck Berry fans.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell just by the way Dave played. I mean, I also learned to play listening to Chuck Berry's records. That's how I learned to play. It was right, left and right. And we said to our manager at the time, said, look, Tony, do you think you could ask Chuck Berry if we could have a picture taken with him? And so our manager went over. Chuck comes down after he's finished playing. He's got his guitar in his case. He's got a Cadillac convertible about 50 yards away from the stage with a blonde sitting in it, and the top's down as well. And our manager goes up to him and says, "Excuse me, Mr. Berry, could my band have a picture taken with you?" He said, "Sure, anytime." Kept walking. The picture is our manager, reaching out like this, trying to hold Chuck's arm, and Chuck's walking. Sure, anytime. But, yeah, I think it probably wouldn't have been what I wanted, because his record always had a great drummer on it. But yeah, Chuck Berry, that would have been the icing on the cake for me and for Dave. If Dave and I could have played with Chuck Berry, he probably would have been entirely happy with it, because we knew all the songs probably better than him. That's not fair, is it?
It happens. It really does. Yeah.
Chuck Berry.
Roger, I want to say thank you, man, for being on the show again. It's always wonderful to talk to you. I want to say special thanks to John Lappin, of course, of Lappin Enterprises, for arranging this interview with Roger. Purchase the brand new release by Foghat entitled Sonic Mojo. It's available everywhere. And I guess you can go on Amazon. You can go on your website, www.foghat.com. You're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Spotify.
Wow.
And of course, Foghat Wines. Don't forget to go to foghatsellers.com to purchase your Foghat wine.
Good stuff. It comes from Central Coast of California. That's where we make our wines. So yeah, I drank 4 bottles last night with my niece and nephew. Oh dear. I feel fine though. Hey Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Me too, Roger. I'm gonna see if I can cover your show when you come to Anna Maria. Okay.
Do that. Talk to Rose, and I'll take care of you.
I sure will.
I look forward to that.
Okay, Roger. Take care, man. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.